We'll start. Okay, well, hello, everyone. My name is Liz Stallniger. I'm the board president for Central Park United Neighbors. Welcome to our August community meeting. But before we start, I'll just say a little bit about what Central Park United Neighbors is. CPUN is the Registered Neighborhood Organization, or RNO, for the Central Park community. We provide a working forum for the residents of Central Park to participate in creating, developing, and fostering a vibrant urban community dedicated to social equity, environmental responsibility, and economic opportunity. At our monthly meetings, we facilitate the discussion of key issues with neighbors, engage in proactive problem prevention, and amicable problem solving. CPUN is committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our community. Our mission is the betterment of the city of Denver and the sliver of Aurora that we're in by providing a forum for the residents living in Central Park to discuss and resolve issues. We're a network of communication, a means of acting on matters of importance to the community as a whole. We promote public service, civic discourse, collective efficacy, and we are an all-volunteer board of Central Park residents and a registered 501c3. Our agenda tonight is kind of pretty simple. I've just done the welcome. I'm doing the agenda overview. We'll have community partner updates. I see we have DPD here. We have MCA and MCA delegate and boards. And then we don't have a guest speaker tonight other than our community partners, but we wanted to have a discussion of some community topics that have come up during our summer break. At 6:45, we'll go into the treasurer's report, emails received this summer, and email sponsorships update from Brian. We'll have a very brief look back at the events we did this summer and a little kind of roses, thorns, buds, just reflection on that. And then we'll jump into fall planning. Our two main initiatives will be a candidate forum ahead of the November 6th midterms and the community survey. And then we'll close at 7:30 since the rec center closes earlier than the Cube usually does. So thank you to everybody who's joined us in person and online. We'll start with community partner updates. Usually we start with City Council District 8, but I think actually we don't have anyone from that office here, so we can start with Denver Police District 5. So Officer Woolley or Lieutenant Hines, if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Can everybody hear you? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I accidentally ended up in some other app and I wasn't sure if I unmuted. So, well, hey, thanks for having us tonight. I think Officer Woolley might be in attendance there with you tonight. I know she was going to stop by. I was in at 5 a.m., so I apologize that I'm on Zoom again, but it was getting to be a late day. Just to give you guys some updates on things that we have going on right now. From a crime perspective, we have seen a rise in property crime in Precinct 511 in the last 28 days. Property crime's up about 24% in the last 28 days. That's primarily being driven by motor vehicle theft and theft from motor vehicle. As I've discussed in the past, those are sort of interrelated crimes. The same kind of people that break into vehicles are often the types of people that also steal vehicles. One hotspot in particular seems to be driving those cases, which is, again, individuals breaking into trucks with out-of-state plates at local hotels. So this is a tough one for us in terms of communicating with people because folks who are in from out of state aren't typically on our CPUN meetings, aren't at our commanders meetings, and are passing through town. And unfortunately, what we see in many cases is they think the criminals are looking for guns in these thefts. We've had 3 instances in the last 28 days where guns were stolen from cars that were parked at the hotels, and those were all pickup trucks. And then one attempt on an out-of-town sheriff who was visiting on their car, but their stuff was secured in a way that the suspects weren't able to get it. So consequently, we're working a lot to try to educate the hotels, to educate their customers. If any of you are involved with any of the local hotels, we'd certainly appreciate passing that along as well because it's something we want to see stop. We don't want to see guns ending up in the hands of criminals um, during these thefts. Um, Motor vehicle theft wise, we are seeing the trend still of Hyundais and Kias being our primary stolen vehicles. I think about 70% of the vehicles that were stolen recently are Hyundais and Kias. So, which kind of follows with the trend we saw a couple years ago. Internet trends started with the Hyundais and Kias. I do want to emphasize we're doing a lot better than we were a couple years ago. We're actually still down 17% for the year compared to last year. We just happen to be up for the month, so it's something we're trying to get on top of before that trend changes in a bad way. We are still down for burglaries, which is good news. In both precincts, we're actually significantly down for the last 28 days, 56% in 511, which is the area north of I-70, and 75% in precinct 512, which is south of I-70. On the year, we're still up in burglaries in precinct 511, but it's good to see that trending in the right direction. Not surprisingly, those of you who have listened to me for years and are certainly bored of me hearing me say it, know that open garages are a big issue. And again, they're accounting for about 80% of our burglaries. So please, please, please secure those garages. It'll make a big difference in what we see in terms of crime. As I jump over to precinct 512 for a little bit deeper dive there, property crime is actually down 32% in the last 28 days and 10% for the year. Total crimes down 14% for the year in precinct 512, and it's up 4% in precinct 511, which isn't a substantial change. A lot of that being driven by larceny, which is still our largest total crime metric in both precincts, driven by the fact that we do have a large retail center in both precinct 511 with the mall and precinct 512 with Quebec Square. So, as we've seen in the past, larceny tends to be our largest contributor to the crime trends overall. From DPD's perspective, we are working a few operations to try to catch the criminals that are involved in all the aforementioned crimes. We're going to do a few things to try to encourage suspects to steal vehicles that are ours instead of yours and hopefully catch them in the act. So hopefully we can have some luck with that. We're going to be using our anti-crime team and some folks from Colorado Metro Auto Theft Task Force to help us with that. And as always, if you see somebody suspicious engaging in suspicious behavior, please give us a call. We'd certainly rather check that out, and we never close. DPD's here 24/7. I don't know if Officer Woolley wanted to give any updates on events coming up, if she's able to in the room there. Otherwise, I can update you on our upcoming commanders meeting as well.
She's here.
Yeah, I was gonna pass around flyers this way. I see some of them.
Perfect. Yeah, so she's got the flyers covered. That's nice when we can actually give out the flyers in person. So certainly if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Our commanders meeting is the third Thursday of every month. I have a flyer here with all of that on there. If you would like all of the dates, you guys can pass those around that way. And then our big event that's coming up next is going to be our safety expo. It's going to be in Northfield. It's going to be geared towards safety, as the name implies. So there'll be a lot of information out there. It should be a fun day. There'll be a lot of free stuff for kids and families to do. So.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, I guess, for Officer Woolley or Lieutenant Hines? Actually.
Yeah, so what's the latest on the continued fireworks? I mean, it's like over in South, like Emporia Court in that area. It's just constant every night, and it's not gunfire. I can tell it's but you call a number and nothing happens. And I know you guys are busy, but what do we do?
Certainly keep calling us. I know it's frustrating that fireworks don't always get the response we would like. I certainly understand the frustration when people are celebrating happy August 18th and everything. It's pretty disruptive. And I know with the drought, the fire danger is certainly a concern. Um, it, one of the problems we deal with any calls for service is that we have to triage our response. Anything where life and property or life is at risk will take precedent over property at risk. Things like burglaries will take precedence over, fireworks complaints. So it's not that we don't want to respond to fireworks complaints. Unfortunately, a lot of times we see those happening busy summer evenings, like weekend evenings and things like that. And that often coincides with when we're having, car crashes and burglaries and robberies and shootings and stabbings and calls of that nature. But please do keep calling us if they're happening, and they should be dispatching an officer out there. We don't always catch them, but we do catch them sometimes. So, if you want to give your information to Officer Woolley, um, since it seems to be a persistent issue in your area, we can also put an extra patrol request out to our patrol officers who work in the evening so that they're aware of where this seems to be happening and can maybe swing by when they're in between calls and have hopefully some luck in running into these folks.
Thanks.
Of course.
You could say that it's not just a burden.
Okay.
Right. And the other thing that's really helpful, it's really hard for us so we hear fireworks, right? And we call or we see them, but we drive through the area and we see nothing, or we see the same fireworks, but we have no idea where it's coming from. And so we drive through the area as we're able to until we get another call and we maybe don't see anything. So if you see specific addresses that are shooting off fireworks and you can give us specific addresses, that's helpful. And then you also have to be willing to sign a complaint. So you have to be willing to sign that you want to press charges. We need those.
That we don't say that on the phone. It's only if you
They
show
will
up.
ask you if you're willing to sign a complaint, or they will ask
Okay.
you if you're willing to press charges. Sometimes they'll use those different verbiages interchangeably. But yes, if you're gonna call on something, we can't be the victim. You have to be the victim. So you have to be willing to sign whatever complaint that is that you're calling about, whether it's noise, fireworks, anything, any gamut of
Yeah.
it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, to be clear, if we do catch somebody with the fireworks lighting those off, we can charge that as a standalone offense. But
Right.
when we're talking about noise disturbances and things of that nature, unless it falls under very specific stuff like, amplified noise from a vehicle or something, having somebody willing to sign a complaint makes a big difference in our ability to prosecute and arrest for those. So, being that fireworks themselves are illegal, if we do catch somebody physically lighting one or in possession, we can deal with that. But as
But with the
Officer Woolley was
drought,
saying,
it's really
sometimes it's hard to find. Sorry, what's that?
With the drought, it's really scary because that they can.
Oh, sure.
And if
Yeah,
you
you don't want
can
the.
even witness it and you're able to capture it on video, or you're able to capture
Mm-hmm.
it with a picture, that's helpful as well, because then if nothing is happening later by the time we get there, then
You
that's
have a
evidence.
picture, yeah.
Hi, can I say something?
Sure.
Hi, I'm on Zoom. I live in Beeler Park and we had some fireworks last night in the park up the street from my house, and the field caught fire.
Yeah, that's and that certainly speaks to the concern we're talking about here, which is, with a drought and dry grass, it doesn't doesn't take much to cause a fire, and those fires can spread if we have any kind of winds. So, yeah, that's certainly one of the reasons I say let us know if there's fireworks taking place, and we'll do our best to respond to those. And certainly, if you see a fire sparked, make sure you call in and
Oh,
let us know, and that'll.
It was more than a spark. If you drive to the park that doesn't have a name, that's I live 58th and Chester, going more to the pool. You'll see the fire. I mean, you'll see the remains of the fire, and some apparently some teenager called 911, and the fire engine came, but the park's a mess, and it's dangerous because it's right near houses.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's, yeah,
Are
we don't
you
want to
aware?
see.
Are you aware? Have you been by to see it? Are you aware of that?
No, I wasn't aware of that. And certainly go by and take a look at it, but I wasn't aware that that had happened.
Okay, if you walk in the little park this area, the park doesn't have a name. They never bothered to put a name on it. But
No, but I know right where you're
you
talking.
know where,
So,
yeah. Okay, and that's really, it was really scary, and it's scary for the people who live right across the street from this fire.
oh, sure. Yeah, you have a right to be scared. I mean, we all saw what happened with the Marshall fire and don't want anything like that happening here. So, um, yeah, certainly. Yeah, and I'm glad somebody called 911 on that. That kind of becomes a multi-agency response. Obviously, we don't put out fires as well as the fire department puts out fires, but do want to try to catch the people starting fires. So,
But if you call the fire department, they will give you the exact location of it, okay? Because it's in the middle of a park, so I don't know what the
sure.
streets are, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Thank you.
I'm curious, as residents, are we able to keep up with that specific fire and whether charges or arson charges are pursued? If anyone was caught with that, because I know there was footage around that same fire.
Yeah, so arson charges are actually handled by arson investigators, which are assigned to the fire department. So they're kind of like crossover professionals. They're both firefighters and law enforcement. So whenever we have an arson case, that actually gets pushed over to Denver arson because there's a lot of particulars that go into investigating arsons, looking for trying to identify locations where the fire started, what kind of accelerant may have been used to start the fire. It's a whole different field of investigation. So if you get in contact with the fire department, they can. I don't know if I have a number for the arson investigators available. I'll see if I can find one. If I do, I'll put it in the chat. But otherwise, Denver Fire should be able to get you in contact with their arson investigators to let you know the status of that particular investigation.
Lieutenant Hines or Officer Woolley, this is Liz. Again, I had a question. If you are close enough to take a picture or take videos, this might be a question for the fire department, not necessarily DPD, but I guess what are, good kind of best practices around wildfire prevention if you're actually that close enough to somebody lighting off fireworks? Like, is it worth it to have a bucket or like just to have something ready if you're in an area where folks typically light off fireworks and there is a chance of a wildfire in the park? I guess is there any place to find best practices or tips for how to respond to that, like while you're calling 911?
Oh, that's something I might defer to the fire department for a little more expertise on, but I will tell you that typically water is a good way to put out
Yeah.
fires caused by fireworks. They're not like like with fuel fires and stuff, you need certain types of fire extinguishers. This is just speaking from personal experience. My brother-in-law actually puts on professional fireworks displays for a living, and I've been out to his displays, and they keep water can fire extinguishers all around the site. That's what they use with the professional displays. So, speaking from seeing that personally, I would say that water is a good source. So, bucket of water, hose of water is a real good way to respond to fireworks. It won't work for gasoline fires or things of that nature, but for fireworks, pretty good option.
Yeah, I think one of the limitations is we have folks, garden hoses are not necessarily going to reach as far as the park, but if you have, one of those like Home Depot buckets that you can easily fill and run
Sure.
over to the park, that at least is kind of an immediate response while you're also calling 911.
Yeah. And if you splash the person lighting them, they might run away. Don't do that. That's probably a way to get somebody mad at you. But
Okay, we have one more question. Oh, I don't know why
It's because I turned my audio on.
Oh, okay, I'll mute myself then. One more question. To the district AV.
Okay. I believe it's not just putting out the fires. Do we have a vehicle to educate the community? We have such a huge influx from out of state new neighbors who are not familiar with the drought situation. And I think it's really an educational issue. And how can we
promote that.
It's certainly something we try to do a lot around the 4th of July because as
I was thinking about having
Uh,
somebody.
sorry, I didn't know if somebody else was talking. It's certainly something like around the 4th of July. That's when we obviously tend to see the peak in fireworks usage. So we always put out some public safety announcements around that time. I know the city's been putting out a lot of stuff on the drought, and perhaps we can talk with some of those agencies and put out some stuff about fire prevention, similar to what we see with wildfire warnings and
That's
stuff that you
Linda,
see up in the
yes.
mountain areas.
Oh, hi.
I just I just unmuted. But I think that's a good idea. We do have I think it'll be probably our October meeting will be a candidate forum. But I think actually getting someone from the fire department to talk
Yep.
about fire safety. And actually, I think the Office of Emergency Management just released or they're doing evacuation plans for neighborhoods that are near kind of at risk of wildfire areas. And I think our proximity to the arsenal is one of those evacuation zones. So I think that would be a good
I had
guest
written myself a
speaker.
note for possibly September,
Yeah.
contacting somebody
Okay,
now.
I think we're on the same page. So stay tuned. I think we will hopefully have a speaker, or a speaker or two, specifically around drought and wildfire safety, and kind of best practices for the neighborhood and neighbors. So,
Great.
all right, thank you. All right, thank you, Lieutenant Hines and Officer Woolley. We'll move on to, District 8. I see we have, correct me on the pronunciation of your name. Is it Makayo from City Council District 8?
So hi everyone. My name is Mikhail, and I'm really happy
I
to
see
be
you've
here.
unmuted yourself, but we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Or, hold on a second. Are you speaking now?
Liz, I was
Yes.
hearing them too.
I apologize. I had my computer muted.
Oh,
So
no worries.
I hear you now. Oh, all right. So if you'd like to give us the City Council update.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey everyone. My name is Mikhail, and I'm a senior aide focused on public safety policy in Councilwoman Chantel M. Lewis's office. And I actually recently moved to the neighborhood, so I'm really excited to be covering this meeting with you all. And I should be in person shortly. And then I'm going to provide just like basically a brief overview on some relevant staffing updates, discuss legislation our office is working on, and then cover some upcoming community engagement events with some times for questions and comments at the end. And then, so first and foremost, our office has been receiving a lot of emails and calls about traffic issues in our district. And then, so one of the key points
Stop
of
as soon as
contact.
I hit 20.
Whoever is unmuted, please mute yourself.
One of our key contacts, Maggie Thompson, from Dottie has been promoted and then is no longer necessarily our point of contact. So we're still like trying to navigate that, but we're happy to have our team meet with CPUN Street Safe Street Committee and then figure out how, like the best ways to proceed. And then I already introduced myself, but I just also want to flag that our team's now fully staffed up and includes Jesse Carey, who all of you most likely know. He regularly joins meetings with y'all, but he recently actually broke his collarbone in a biking accident. So if you see him next month, just make sure to check in on him, see how he's doing. Alan Pettis is a senior aide who brings a lot of experience in all things budget and community engagement to our office. And then Zach Burley will be joining us from former council member Parody's office, and will be helping on our housing, environmental, and then workers' right policy work. And then we also have a team of talented interns that includes Dakota Shaw, Jay Ridley, and Claudia Rojas Gonzalez. So if you see any of us, please don't hesitate to say hi. And then on the legislative front, I'm going to cover our office's work on upcoming gender identity protection ordinance, and then the recently formed municipal sentencing working group. So for the gender identity protection ordinance, to provide a little bit of background, with states across the country embracing anti-LGBTQ plus policies, transgender and gender expansive people often seek safety, dignity, affirmation, and then opportunity in Denver. And just given the current political climate and increase in federal targeting of transgender and gender expansive people, community members and advocacy organizations really implored our city council to protect the people who live, work, and recreate here in the city. And so our office, along with Councilmember Gilmore, are bringing forward a policy proposal that's shaped by the direct input of community leaders to address their concerns. And just for a preview, this policy will reduce unnecessary sex and or gender documentation and record keeping, prevent city resources from being used against trans and gender expansive people by the federal government, and then it's also going to prohibit the city and county from sharing information that would advance federal investigations that are targeting trans and gender expansive people. And then we're in the process of meeting with over 10 city agencies that could potentially be impacted by this ordinance and making sure that we get this right. And then currently it's scheduled for introduction to the Budget and Policy Committee on September 14th. And then it will be in Health and Safety Committee on, I believe, Wednesday, September 16th. And then, so next, I'd just like to cover the municipal sentencing working group that our office is engaged in. So the municipal sentencing bill that council members Parody, Gonzalez, Gutierrez, and then Lewis worked on for nearly 3 years passed with a veto-proof majority of 9 votes on second reading earlier this summer. And then there are a number of municipal-only offenses in our criminal code, and the appropriate sentences for these charges warrants further discussion. And then PACE, which is the prosecutor's office, has thoughtfully identified the municipal-only offenses that are of most concern to them, and the sponsors have left the charging structure unchanged for these offenses. And like, for example, that just might include crimes related to bringing firearms to government buildings or related to assault weapons. And then additionally, the bill sponsors didn't remove any crimes from the criminal code. And then they've also heard from stakeholders that engaged with us that there may be offenses that we would like to see added to the code. And just so to address these 3 issues, the bill sponsors included language in the bill that was passed that created a committee comprised of the district attorney, other attorneys, judges, officers of DPD, council members, and then subject experts that are tasked with engaging in discussions to make recommendations regarding sentencing for municipal only offenses, as well as making recommendations to add or remove offenses to the Denver criminal code by March of next year. And I just want to emphasize that these are recommendations, nothing that the working group recommends as binding by any means. It just is a recommendation to council, and then someone would have to decide how they'd want to act on it. And then council members Sandoval, Torres, and Lewis worked over the last few weeks with the mayor's office to confirm over 20 members of the municipal working group. And the first broader group meeting was last week on Thursday. And then in the upcoming meetings, they're going to review basically some of the parts of the code, all of the parts of the code that are impacted by this ordinance. And then these meetings will run through March of 2027. And so just to get into the weeds a little bit, I'm happy to just cover the charge of the municipal working group. So the working group has 2 main purposes spelled out in the bill. And the first is a review of all offenses in the Denver Revised Municipal Code. And working group members have to weigh the following for these ordinances. So where fines are appropriate and at what amount, how fines accrue, where jail time is appropriate and at what level, whether certain misconduct that currently can be criminally prosecuted should be decriminalized or repealed, and how to best address and deter misconduct by corporate actors. And then the second purpose is a little more refined.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would it be possible actually so we send out a newsletter twice a month, since this is, we're short on time for this meeting because it's a shorter meeting than we usually have. So I apologize for cutting you off, but I think if folks have questions for you about any district 8 stuff, I'd like to be able to give them time. So if you could give us information on the Muni sentencing working group, we'll share that out in our newsletter. And are the meetings for that group public?
Yes, they are public. And they're so the group elected chairs of the group, and that includes the mayor's office. I think it's Tim Hoffman, and then Colette from the Office of Municipal Public Defender.
Okay.
And so if folks reach out to them about participation, they're more than welcome to observe. And then like the public, like I guess more so the public like input part would come if like folks bring forward legislation related to like the recommendations of this working group.
Okay, great, thank you. I guess, are there any upcoming events I think if there are any upcoming kind of community engagement events with the district aid office, and then I think if any folks in the room or on the Zoom have questions, we should probably move to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a budget book club that will be kicking off soon, and then this like the first meeting will be virtual. And it will just cover like City Budget 101. And that's gonna be the first week of September. And then please just stay tuned for more. Like our team, once we finalize the details of that with other council member offices, we'll send that out to like all of our no contacts and anyone that's subscribed to our newsletter.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I will, I'll follow up with you and CC David Kugler, who does our newsletter, so that we can definitely include at least the first meeting ahead of the first week in September.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, are there any questions for Makeo or the council office? Either on Zoom or in the room? No? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for introducing yourself, Makeo. We'll follow up by email and include things in the newsletter.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. And then for our next community partner, we have two updates from the MCA. We have Diane here to talk about programs and operations. And we also have Kristen, remind me how to pronounce your last name. Rosansky is the board president for the MCA, and she's going to kind of talk to us a little bit about that, the governance structure of that. So Diane, if you'd like to.
Real quickly.
All right.
We've got a few upcoming events. We've got the September 11th rescheduling of opera on the South Green. And it was rescheduled from this month. We also have upcoming this Sunday is our kids triathlon. So you may see over 600 participants.
Really?
Yes,
Whoa.
we sold out so fast. So we have over 600 kids ages 6 to 13 who will be riding, swimming, and biking. And it's centered at Jetstream Pool. We have flyered the entire neighborhood, and we try to let people, as many know about what's going on as possible, but there's always that person that doesn't get the info. So we also have people on the course to help out. So you'll see that going on in Central Park, on Sand Creek Regional Greenway, and then at the pool. And that happens Sunday morning, starts at 8 a.m. and goes until about 2 p.m. So that's what's happening over there. If you try to go to Jetstream, it's closed. But anyway, that's kind of the exciting things. We have some upcoming movies. We had to cancel our movie Friday night. Bummer, but we do have one more. Wicked for Good is September. That first Friday of September. So please come to it and enjoy.
I think that's September 4th.
Yes, I think you're right. So all is well. As far as operations go, our pools are getting ready for back to school schedule. So keep your eyes open to that. We will have them posted at the pools. We will also have them posted online, and we will send out an e-blast that has all of that information in it. Any quick questions about programs or events? I tried to be fast and quick.
No, thank you.
All right.
It was very concise.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's our biggest, craziest event, but it's so much fun. It's so fun.
How late do the farmers markets go? I think that goes into
Second
October?
Sunday of October.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we also have Kristen Rosansky as here from the MCA board. Shall I? hand this on to,
And if you could pass this around, and I'm sorry, I did not make enough copies. So if you could have maybe 3 people sharing as we go through. But think of it as right. Think of it as conservation of paper. First thing, before I even start to go over this, I think all of you have heard our executive director is stepping down, retiring, various words, as of October 2nd. We have put together a job description. We're working with Employers Council and their recruiting service. And it is going to get over that finish line to posting sometime this week. We've run into a technology issue. I'm on my phone and trying to deal with it as we're speaking. That posting will be shared. The board is going to start doing updates weekly, every other week. We don't want to bore you with the same thing over and over again. But we will have one going out in tomorrow's e-blast. We're also putting board updates into the back page of the front porch paper. It is the back page, right, Diane? Because I keep using those words. Okay. Yes, like that. We will be putting updates in there or a link to updates. So all of you who know what's happening with the process, if you know of a good candidate, have them click the link and apply. We're only going to be as good as the leadership we get put in place. We are going to, I'm going to rapidly run through the process. We are going to have 2 groups who are going to give us feedback. It won't be a vote. It will be feedback on candidates. And one group will be an employee group, MCA staff. We will have 3 to 4 people on each committee. And the second group is going to be a community group. We want to have CPUN involved. We're going to have a delegate involved, and we're going to have a community member who's not on either one of those groups. And both of those groups will ask set questions because we want to prepare apples to apples, and we will get that feedback. Tomorrow at the board meeting, our recruiter, and it has to be an executive session, will run us through what are they screening for as they're looking. Yes, they have the job description. Yes, we have the minimum qualifications, but what's our tree? I've spoken, I had like 2.5 hour meeting with staff last week, and they asked, well, what do you want? And I just want to be really clear. This is me. This is not, I am not speaking on behalf of the board. I'm kind of focused on the theme of sustainability. I want sustainability of our assets, of our community, and of our staff. And then I have the questions flow from there. We'll see. We'll see what we come out with, but they're going to start evaluating the applications as they begin to roll in. All right?
So Kristen, there's going to be an initial screen by the recruiter and then.
Yes, you know what? I should have said that. They will be screening the applications, and the way it usually works in recruiting is when you're doing that method, you screen the applications, then you do phone screening and get it down to a certain number. And then those will be the people who interview with the employee committee and with the community committee. So if you could run any interest you have in being on, other than Diane, on the community committee, please let her know and she'll feed that to me. Okay. Is that enough of an explanation?
Yeah, could we, I guess it's some sort of, can we also have some information that we can share out in our newsletter that goes out?
We will have,
So
I'm
whatever
guessing,
the update
yeah,
is.
I'm guessing Diane has not looked at her email since 5 o'clock. There is, I know, total slacker. I have sent her the update for tomorrow for the e-blast. You'll see it in your e-blast. And you can copy and paste that, trying to get some consistency of messaging out there without bogging people down with too much information. We'll describe the process a little later on. Right now, it's all about word of mouth, referring people. From every recruiter I've ever spoken to, best source of applicants is referrals. Yes, we are putting it out on Indeed, and they hit 18 websites, putting it out on Colorado Municipal League, putting it out on Colorado counties, because deputy city managers, deputy county man, those types of people have solid experience. But you guys live in the community and you care, I hope. And if you know somebody, encourage them to apply. All right, if you quickly can, I'm sorry, take a look at the handout. What happens is we have 11 districts. What I'm going to describe for you is an upcoming election. We have 11 districts in Central Park. Each district gets to elect a delegate. So here's the delegates. Actually, here's our members. Members are owners of property. That's here. Then we have the delegates. Then we have the board. And we have the MCA staff. So the members of the community within your district, you elect your delegate. Your qualifications to be a delegate, you are a resident. That means a non-property owner could be there, commercial unit owners and actual owners. The terms are for 1 year. Matt is going to correct me, I hope, if I make a mistake. If,
I'm a delegate from 50 states, that part west and central part.
Vacancies. Vacancies are going to occur if somebody moves. That means they're not qualified anymore. If the members remove a delegate, and that's done at a meeting of the members of that district. The third one is somebody resigns. They're done. They resign, or there's a refill in some way for some reason.
Move away.
Pardon?
They move away.
Right.
Yeah, that would be cease to qualify.
Yeah.
No longer, so.
Powers. I've listed the 2 sources of power for the delegates. One, as I was going to, so it's members, it's delegates. There's a 5-member board. The delegates are the ones who put the board members in place. They elect them. They go out and recruit. That's how I got on the board.
Kristen, a board member does not have to be a delegate.
Right. We do have some board members who are delegates, but no, they do not have to be.
Does everybody who's a delegate and or a board member have to be a member, like an owner member of the MCA or?
No, Delegates, board members do, delegates don't. Delegates can be a tenant. You know, yeah, there's a differentiation there. So the powers of the delegates are the election of the board members, and the other one is there is a proposed budget every year. The delegates ratify it formally, they veto it, or if they do nothing, then we go and we use the budget from the previous year. Okay? So the real meat of it, and this is part of what I updated on Diane for tomorrow's e-blast. There is a deadline for nominating delegates. It's November 10th. We will have in the e-blast a link you can click to go to the delegate nomination form. We will also be putting that into the September, October, probably November front porch. Because that's right, we've missed the deadline on September. You have to, right. No,
Deadline.
the deadline's already passed.
Yeah.
For the front porch.
Right.
Right. So the other way that a delegate gets nominated is write-in. There's going, you'll hear in a minute the different ways. So for this upcoming election it'll be in 2026, and it'll be between November, around just after November 10th through the December annual members meeting. You will be able to vote two ways. One of the board members has been heading up a group that is putting together an electronic voting system. The vendor is going to be a group called Simply Voted. We have some tricky things we're working through, but it'll be one way to vote. Yes, I should have said that. It will be the first time. What we're trying to do through this is to engage a lot more of the community. Sure. A lot more of the community. There's some districts where it is beyond distressing that you just don't get any participation, and that can be difficult. In addition to the electronic voting, there is going to be a mailing out to everybody in Central Park, and you will be able to vote hard copy. Remember when I said before the write-in piece? You'll be able to do write-in both on the electronic ballot and on the hard copy ballot. All right, I'm done.
The reason we have mail to everyone is Iowa laws require that we send everyone a hard copy, so we can't do 100% electronic. So. Yeah. There's a question.
And there will also be a profile on.
Yes, what you will see in Diane's email that she's getting is there will be a link to the delegate nomination form and also just to our delegate page. On that page, you can see map of the district. We are working on getting a better one. It was proposed by Mr. Blackburn, and you'd be surprised at how hard it is to get a clear map of the districts, but I'm going to be pinging some more people. Should be able to look and go, okay, it's 25th Drive that border is on. It's kind of like people have to recognize the shape of roads and that kind of thing. And that's not helpful.
Oh.
On the same page, there's a list of current delegates by district. It also shows which districts are open. And we already have biographies of some people who've put in a delegate nomination form.
And we do ask for that when they present, and then we'll keep asking if they don't provide it, but not everybody provides anything but a sentence sometimes. But we do ask for more of them.
Yeah, because just a name
Yeah.
and an address doesn't mean anything.
Really encourage you guys, get out, talk to your neighbors, say, I'm on the CPUN board. What are you doing? Get them to put their names up for delegate.
It's not a
That's-
district as a representative, so.
Right.
And, you know, some of the representatives don't show up. So more active participation is needed.
Very much needed. You can look back at the board minutes, and as of this year, we began having the delegates present at all of the board meetings. And that's right. We don't always get people there. And we are doing our level best right now to make those meetings stick with 2 hours. And last month was the first time we went over, so.
And then it's at noon time on the third Wednesday of each month, right?
Noon to 2 on the third Wednesday of every month. And you can go to the website, click, and have it going on in the background while you're doing your work.
Is there any consideration for having it or moving the time? Just because I feel like a large barrier to participation for folks is 2 hours out of the middle of the workday.
I'll be honest, not right now. We have working people on the board, and in addition, we have people like me, and after a while, evening meetings that go that long. And then the third. No, you're.
Yeah, it is.
They can get a little tense. In addition, the third group we're looking at is staff. Staff has to be at those meetings and presenting. And as you can see, they already are at evening meetings and at events. So no, not right now.
12 to third Wednesday is the delegate meeting.
It's a combination board, it's the executive board, the board members and the delegates attend. And it's the delegate meeting as well, and they fully participate.
I saw that District 7 is open, there's no houses in there. There's metal units, there's some a bunch of good ones.
Oh, good. Okay.
You know, one of the landlords, or commercial property, should also represent a building a bunch of houses. Yeah.
They already have people in, and they,
Not to get too inside baseball, but the Brookfield is still the declarant of the district or of the association. And so they actually control the district map. And so I think that area was set up intentionally to represent more commercial interests, which is fine, except that they never find anybody or put anybody into the position. And maybe we can recruit one of the residents now that there are some in that area. It's also supposed to be roughly equal numbers of people living in each district. But of course, the map was drawn a few years ago, and I think the distribution of people around the neighborhood is maybe not exactly what it was thought to be 5 or 6 years ago when it was last drawn. So those are some of the issues that we're trying to deal with. Having associations. Do they do redistricting census? Political boundaries? They have as far as I know. So
they have not. It's been discussed with them, but not. There have not been results from those discussions. It's more like a Senate representation than a House of Representatives.
And Chris, one of the things that we did few years ago when we rewrote our bylaws was we literally took the words of the boundaries. And so I can send you.
That would be really helpful because then
Yeah, the footprint of
That's-
the neighborhood, but you can then see, like, we literally sat down with Google Maps and.
I was gonna say, that would be helpful because then we can use Google Maps and do those drawings. And give a better, that would
Yeah,
be
you can-
fantastic. Okay,
It is almost 7 o'clock now. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. This is all very useful information. I think that this is just the start of kind of the conversation with the MCA, and I think we'll follow up with you, Kristen, and Diane, since in the coming months. So thank you so much for presenting tonight. I think that if folks do have questions, if you're on the Zoom, please put them in the chat. If Brian, if you can look for that, and then we'll try to pass them on to both MCA folks who are here tonight and get answers by email so that we can kind of move forward in the agenda. What's up, Brian?
There's also another way you can get involved with the other people.
Oh, do you mean for us? Yes, we have actually about five seats available on the Central Park United Neighbors Board. Also, our recruitment season is typically from February to April to be able to vote on a slate of folks at our May meeting. We have these openings though, because life is lifing for folks. So that recruitment season does not necessarily work. But so we are just kind of having a rolling recruitment. If anybody else likes to get in the weeds, is kind of a joiner, is looking for a volunteer opportunity, really cares about the community, and is kind of gets, I would say, enthusiastic about kind of jumping into the weeds of community issues. We would like you on our board, and we might fight the MCA board for some folks. But
And I put in a plug, I'm interrupting, I know. I put in a plug for high school students. We need.
Oh, yes, yeah.
On this board.
Renters, high school students, and other folks, please send them our way. We will also be including that in our newsletter. So. And yes, and there is also some overlap between members of our groups too. So that's not a barrier. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Diane. I think that with the time, we basically have 7 to 7:30. I wanted to touch on some community topics. I think that we do not have time on the agenda for a full discussion of all of these. So I think that we're going to, because the first thing is back to school and e-bikes and e-motos, and I think we need to have more time set aside for that conversation. So I know some folks joined us specifically for that. I think we'll provide information on what we've been doing this summer, and particularly Carol contacting the schools.
What happened, we had, please refer people to our April meeting, because we had a wonderful 5-person panel about e-bikes and e-motos. And so that's preserved forever, and you can look at it whenever. And Front Porch did a nice story too. They had someone there. So we appreciated that. I contacted all of the schools, administrators or people that I was kind of randomly looking that would have a far reach in each school, elementary, middle, and high, to send them the one pager. Amy Campbell, who co-chairs the Safe Streets Committee with me, did a wonderful one pager. It's friendly to look at. And so I provided the link to that for them to have that, and also the link to the April meeting, and just said, we're going to continue to pursue this topic because it's building. It's building in this community, it's building in Denver, it's building across the country. And interestingly, I think I sent that to you today, David. There's an article I think AP did. We're talking about bikes all the time, but let's talk about drivers in 4-wheel vehicles and what's happening there in terms of being friendly and being safety conscious around any kind of bikes and pedestrians or whatever. So this is just an ongoing thing, and I want to have something in the newsletter every time the newsletter is published.
We put the one pager, I think, has been in the newsletter
Yes,
under Sixth
yes,
Streets. for the
yeah.
last-
We want to
Yeah.
make it
So-
available. So we'll continue to serve. What's that?
No, it's not, but we can add, yeah,
That's a
no,
good idea.
but that's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the news, yeah, which we don't use. So we can do that. Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you,
Okay.
Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
So we will update in the newsletter on the website, and the MCA will share it out as well. But I think that I think we need to kind of table that
Yeah.
discussion till we can have a full follow-up. And we'll move on to, I think, Brian, if we can move on to the treasurer's report, and then I think if we can jump into the community, I'll give just a brief little blurb about the candidate forum that David will be leading the organizing for, and then the community survey that we're developing, because since we're on a deadline to release it at the beginning of November, so I want to move on to that. So Brian, let me mute myself. Yeah.
So pretty simply, our treasurer's report, you guys don't have it in front of you. Our reserve balance is now up to almost $15,000. We try to keep $5,000 as our reserve, as kind of, that's what we need on an annual basis to cover insurance, website, now the survey, because we just did SurveyMonkey. But needless to say, we have been very successful. We do get a annual donation from MCA. We get an annual donation from District 8, or at least the last few years we have from District 8. And then now we always had a fundraiser, but this year we opted to opt out of the fundraiser, and we are doing email sponsorship. We, with little effort, got a lot of success, I think, for that. We've got a lot of really good businesses in the community. We have 6 businesses that have said yes. We actually have had, since I put this slide together, we had 2 more that came back. So we'll have 8. We wanted to keep it somewhere between 5 and 10. And we did. So that's the next slide kind of. So we kind of replaced what we got from the mini golf this year with the email sponsorship. So it'll be somewhere around, what did I say, 8? So $1,600. And you'll notice it's not exact because everybody has paid via credit card. So we lose a little bit from the credit card fees. But I intentionally, in the slide deck, put the sponsors, but it's Aspen Wealth Management, Linda Beardsley, who used to be with, I think, Edward Jones, is now with Aspen Wealth Management. So she's Cinco Roofing, the Mathis Agency, Roaming Travel Company, Awakening Serenity Consulting, Wills and Wellness Estate Planning, and then recently AC Inc. Roofing and TJC Real Estate added. So if you know those businesses, support them, thank them. We've thanked them. But what'll happen is we are going to replace the mini golf sponsors with these sponsors. They'll have a logo with a click through taking you to wherever they want to. So the other thing you can do to help this in the next year is, and my husband does this every month, when you get the email, scroll to the bottom and just click every one of the links. Because then the people know that people are clicking through, because we get statistics from MailChimp on that. So that's that. So I think we're good on that. Any questions for me?
No.
It's a lot easier to fundraise with people sponsorship.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Yeah.
putting that on.
Yeah. And CPBA, you know, I know Matt, you're part of CPBA, but that was where we not only got the last year sponsors for mini golf, but we also, you know, CPBA did as part of their monthly email, they had something, and then we got lots of good PR from that. So yeah, so we appreciate that. And then the other thing we've done the past few months, which you guys can't see again, is emails that we get through the CPUN website. Most of them go out. You know, it's kind of requests, and I'll go through them, but a lot of them I send out to the CPUN board. We also like get some where we point them to, you know, MCA or things like that. There's an organization that Liz is talking to that asked to come speak at some point. It's called A Little Help, and it's an organization that helps elderly people stay involved in the community. So they're looking to get more clients as well as people that will help with it. So that one came, I forwarded that one. Mercy Housing has a gala on September 24th. If you didn't notice, Denver Fire Foundation is looking for furniture to furnish their the houses that they burn, or you know, which is kind of, you know, but there's another collection event on September 5th. We did have an inquiry on a parent on school choice, and so it did. We got back to that person, but we also there's been a lot of talk on Facebook, so there are resources out there. And then there was a request for a stop sign in Beeler Park, which we got to Amy, and Amy sent it off to Dottie. There's a street that doesn't have a stop sign that they wanted, so we did that. So that's just a sampling of the emails. In addition, we get some of them through the Contact Us link on our website. So if you ever have anybody and you know, either they can send it to Central Park United Neighbors at gmail.com or click on the Contact Us. So that's all I got.
Request for stop signs. We've been trying to get stop signs on Central Park and 28th because it's a race. They're racing from the bridge down to the red lights. And if there was a stop sign right on 28th and Central Park.
There will never be, I can tell you, having, you and I were neighbors for
A
many
long
years.
time.
I can tell you, we have had that discussion with Dottie for 23 years.
Why are they not doing
That goes against all the dynamics of the traffic strategy within Denver. Central Park is considered a major artery, and they do not put stop signs. So if you'll notice, between even if you go all the way north to Alton, it's Alton actually. Yeah. I mean, Alton technically there's no stop signs on Central Park Boulevard. Same thing on Martin Luther King. Those are considered major arteries, and so so they can't.
For somebody who was sending emails around bus stops, you can put a bus stop or build out.
There is a bus stop.
Yeah, there is also, I mean, the other thing is you can email Dottie and get one of the, like they have on Syracuse, they have the crossing where it flashes when someone's actually crossing. That Dottie has been more so, Carol can probably,
Yeah, there's also one on Central Park, when between the bridge and Montview.
yeah. So
The safest way, because I've been involved in this discussion since the get-go as well. And the safest way for young people to get to and from school is to truly go under the bridge of Central Park and come in the backside of the school. And we would every year have a school to pool walk. And the kids, they still do, and the kids will meet at the aviator pool, all walk together so they know the safest way to get to school. And that's the best way at this moment we can encourage people to get safely across that street if you are a pedestrian. So I just encourage that as a conversation because I've been involved in this discussion for 20+ years.
Yeah, having lived right there, I mean, if you were there when I think you were there, 28th was actually the street that went through Central Park Boulevard, and we lobbied to get that changed to move it up to 26th because 28th dead ends at the school. So that we got changed through Forest City at the time and got that remapped. But we have never been able to have any fruitful conversations with them about stop signs
Yeah.
on.
And I'd say the flashing lights, I think, are great if people are paying attention to whether the cars, number one, stop if you're the pedestrian or on a bicycle, but number two, if the driver of the car does pay attention. And so there's a little bit of hesitation with the city in installing those for that very reason. And especially on the way to a school, I have a lot of concern that we install one there'd be a false sense of safety along that pathway. So the safest path is to take the greenway to school. And it's an extra block, but it's not absolutely.
But it's not so much the safest way that I'm talking about. It's the cars are just flying through Central Park Boulevard.
And 29 and 29th.
Yes.
And Martin Luther King.
I mean, they are
56th,
trying to
and
catch the
reality is that, and I don't know if Lieutenant Hines left, but he has. But the reality is that if you see speeding, call the non-emergency number, and I can assure you that within a week they will have the van.
yeah,
parked.
sometimes they have the van parked there.
And that van location is generated by calls into the non-emergency number. And so, if you
that's good to know.
if you call that in constantly, that will be. Yeah.
Don't ask for a stop sign because that is.
Okay, got you. Got you.
Indicate you have an intersection concern. And then that is a much more open-ended way of figuring out what their response will be. But if it is, if you're giving them a single option to say yes or no to, they will say
Yes,
yes.
no.
So if you can, part of it is the magic words to have an open-ended response. To at least see, to get somebody out there to look at it. But all right, I will.
You should unmute and I'll mute.
Okay. No, all right, so I just want to touch very briefly. I think our October meeting will probably be a candidate forum for the at-large vacancy and kind of a open house for ballot initiative campaigns, because there's a lot. I was looking at what is on the ballot. There is a lot that's going to be on the ballot. We won't.
I've been running the RTD board.
Okay, yeah.
And I've been desperately trying to get on an agenda for several months.
Okay.
The time is now 7:15. So can I
Yes.
continue to have? And my election would also be in November.
Yes.
Would love 10 or 15 minutes to introduce myself.
Well, yeah, well, if you can contact us through the CPUN website and we'll work out some, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, well, we will work out the agenda for the next 2 months, but yes, thanks.
John.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I remember I met you at the May forum. Yes.
See, that's a good omen.
That is good.
And
So-
I want to work on the bus stop, even though bigger. Better
Yes.
bus stops.
So we have to move on to the community survey, people, like really quickly. No, that's okay. There are 19 folks have filed for the at-large vacancy. They have to turn in 300 verified signatures by Thursday. So even if half of those people make it onto the ballot, that's still a lot of people for an at-large form. So we need CPUN board members who will volunteer to work with David to help organize that, think about what is the most effective and efficient format for a large number of candidates. And we also have sent, I sent a co-host invitation to our neighboring RNOs. East Colfax has expressed interest and so has Montbello. But really we kind of have to wait to see who will be on the ballot for that and start discussing. But if you're interested, please talk to David. Yeah, that'll be the October 20th meeting. Okay. Then, board planning. So Heather, I will let you take this away. You're in the meeting, so I'm gonna mute myself. And stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna share, but I guess. Sorry, not everybody's on. Sorry about that. Okay. Getting there. Can you see the survey?
It's just black.
It's blank, but it says you started screen sharing. But I think while you're talking, if you can just send that to me and I'll share it like while we're talking.
Okay, sorry, I see it now.
Hey, we got something there.
Okay. Oh. Things changed when I went here. Sorry about that. So I haven't met everybody. I'm Heather Nuanez-Tabano. I'm a CPUN board member, and I'll talk quickly about the CPUN annual survey. Not quite annual, semi-annual, when the vibes are right, community survey. So I think the last one we did was fall of 2025. January. Okay, January 2025. So it'll be just shy of 2 years if we can get this deployed in November. And I think the thought process was folks will be engaged in thinking about what matters for them with the upcoming election. So if we can get this out around the same time, that would be good. What does it look like on there? Okay.
It's good.
So I'll try to be brief. The introduction here is just
Show that first page.
similar to what's last year.
Lower, that's all.
Okay. At the end, I can see if there's anybody who's super interested in helping me refine this, but an introduction, what is this survey? Why did we do it? We only ask for your email. We don't share it with anybody unless you have like a specific ask that you give us in an open-ended comment. I'm hoping there's going to end up being budget for an incentive for folks to complete it. And we were thinking a gift card to a Central Park restaurant or business. It got approved. Okay, great. So the first questions, the first domain is about living in Central Park. So it asks like what year did you first move to the neighborhood? Which sort of micro neighborhood do you live in? And we have a really nice map that Liz made. Your zip code, do you rent or own? A possible new question I had in here that's
not fleshed out is, do you live in a home with a sub HOA? If we thought there might be things to ask there, if we could do anything, because there's something like 80 sub HOAs in the neighborhood. We ask if you have school-age children.
That might be Kevin.
I know you just don't like having us with each other.
Yeah. We ask a question, where do you get, besides your direct experience, where do you get info about the neighborhood that is going to inform your thoughts and opinions? A new question I put on here would be kind of getting at neighborhood community connectedness. So how connected do you feel to your neighborhood, with answers like, I don't know any of my neighbors. I know a few of my neighbors. I know my neighbors well enough. I know some or many neighbors well enough I could call on them to ask for support. And then we have a whole grid question that asks about your levels of satisfaction with different things in the neighborhood, like school options, housing affordability, grocery options, restaurants. I'm going to skim through some of these that are repeat questions. We ask about ways people are involved in the community. I think this was a new question on the last survey. We have one question about the MCA. That's a carryover.
Will we be able to share like this draft? I've got like kind of draft down.
Yeah. I'll send like a PDF, I think. And then the next questions get into the committee specific questions. So Education Committee usually provides stuff for Central Park schools. Carryover questions seem to be about the Central Park Elementary School enrollment zone, which I think continues to be a question of whether or not that will remain in effect. And certain aspects of what folks think should go into that. Potential new question, did the quality of Central Park schools influence your decision to move to the neighborhood? And for families with elementary school children, asking about, do your children attend Central Park elementary schools, elementary schools outside of Central Park? Are they homeschooled? Maybe there's other options I'm not thinking of. Potential question about DPS's new personal communication device policy on limiting the use of cell phones in the classroom. Not sure what we want to ask that. Do you think it's helpful? Do you like it? I don't know. Okay.
How many education questions is this so far?
A lot. 3, 4, 5. One maybe about school safety. You want me to go through?
Yeah.
Well,
education, like each kind of maybe questions like, is it possible to get to like 4
or each?
like
Yeah.
questions? Or...
Well, one thought I had about the education, the schools, do we want to pipe that? Because in the past, we've put language on there saying, please fill it out, even if you don't have kids in schools, but that could be a piping question that in the beginning of the survey, if you said you do have school-age children, that then you would get this section, and that would allow for it to be a little bit longer, but
I don't know.
yeah, we can figure that out. Safe streets is the next committee / questions domain. Probably putting in here something about e-moto usage. Traffic safety around schools. I think the other questions we've asked a lot. Health and safety, looking at some of the other community surveys in District 8, a question we don't ask is about safe firearm storage. So I thought we could ask, how valuable would you find more information on discussing safe firearm storage practices? we could ask about AI data center concerns, concerns about nuclear energy at DIA. Climate and sustainability, I thought we could ask questions about how easy was it to understand and follow this year's Denver Water Stage 1 drought watering restrictions? Because I think that's an opportunity that maybe we can give quicker bullets on.
Like mine didn't do that. With it.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially.
That maybe 2 is plenty. Yeah. Yeah.
Figure people into incorporating this, so like this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was gonna ask a question of like, how likely is it that your household was able to reduce your usage by 20%? Just to get folks thinking of like, did I really do all that I could do? I don't know. Certainly more to add there. The last questions are about Central Park United Neighbors and your engagement with CPUN. So we ask, how many meetings have you been to? We give a list of like our usual topic kind of things and are you interested or not? And I added a new section in here of like, these are new areas we're exploring if you're interested. And so these were just ideas that I had from conversations throughout the year with folks. One was a Civics 101, which would be like information on how to engage with the city stakeholders, other community groups, a hands-on bicycle and e-bicycle use and safety. So how to ride your bike on the road, where are you supposed to ride, signaling, stopping, that kind of stuff could be helpful for young riders, new riders, anybody. More general volunteering opportunities, safe gun storage info, and then managing indoor and outdoor water use, drought preparedness, could relate to like the fireworks and hey, did you know that Colorado is actually, an epic drought if you're new to the place? So, and then we have a ton of demographic questions on here that I don't think I edited. It is really similar to what you would see on the census or the American Community Survey.
Do you have a way to see if people started it, taking the survey? Did they finish it? Like, is fatigue going through the survey a potential problem of? Is that
Survey Monkey does much better.
Yeah, we used Google last year, so no, but now with SurveyMonkey, Google will be able to.
So yeah, it's 46 questions, which is a lot.
Yeah, I think there's definitely room for cutting. There's also room for asking a lot of the same ones we ask over and over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, now we've got the Survey Monkey.
I survey based on responses, we send a follow-up.
I recommend limiting them for response, because you will get a really good response in your annual or biannual. And I think that's really important. So you start doing more and more.
Yeah.
And delete your bigger survey responses.
Yeah.
Just to keep it back.
Yeah, our goal has always been, the kind of like lower limit for responses, we've looked for 1,000 responses. We get that, but it would be great. I mean, that's still like a tiny fraction of the community. Better job just distributing it, trying to distribute it in apartment buildings, like among.
Attention Central Park Rec Center, the time is now 7:30. Pools and locker rooms are now closed. The rest of the facility will be closing in 30 minutes at 8 p.m. Thank you.
So we need to stop now. I think that right now, Heather, if you can send out a PDF of this draft. And I guess like if you can give us a timeline on when you want responses or comments from board members on, I guess, areas to condense, areas to cut. Or I guess like what kind of feedback are you looking for when you send this around?
Okay, I'll include that.
Okay.
And I'll,
Surveys of people. I think one lens to look at when you're trying to narrow it down is what are we doing with the data? Yeah. Because that will dictate what data we want, right? So I just wonder, like, I don't know what did it use this data for previously, but if you're collecting data and it doesn't impact change or guide thinking, then I feel like that's an easy way to say, like, we don't need that data.
100%. Yeah.
That's historically, that's why we try to keep questions similar, so we could see change in the neighborhood, and then that would develop how we focused it. We haven't necessarily done as good a job to do that some years and other years, but I think what the board should do when Heather does for the presentation is take that data, and then that's how you should react to it over the next X number of months. And, you know, I think there have been historically some board members that wanted that data that said we should only act if we've got data from the residents. And then we've got other board members who have said, oh, I think let's just see. And so that, I think you raised a good point. Need to make sure we do something. And it was hard that having to youngest job last year, which is why we agreed to do survey monkey going forward, because we just have so much information and so much more community to share.
Yeah.
Some people were really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe I don't want to always tell you to do this, but I think that I know that Heather will need board members helping to get this across the finish line in the beginning of November. So if folks are interested in
Great, thank you.
drafting and developing of this, then please talk to Heather. And we'll just have to have major meetings between now and November, but that are off the regular monthly schedule. To do this, but you have me in.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you everybody who joined us. We kind of need to start cleaning up and closing up. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to.
Help do you need?